All right, everybody.
Hello.
It's been a while.
Yes.
This guy over here has been busy cutting people's hair,
A little off the top.
or maybe a little bit more than just their hair.
Scalpy, scalpy.
Yep. And then, well, I've been busy doing Halloween Horror Night stuff as well, but mostly it's our schedules haven't really lined up. Sorry to everybody who wanted to meet me and couldn't. Brian seemed to meet all of you. But Stella, come here. Stella, come here.
No, come here.
But next year we're going to probably have at least one or two meet and greets before. Come here, Stella. Before Horror Night starts, so that those of you who do come can meet both of us. We have to figure out by asking all of the people who are coming next year when that works out best for all of you. But we are trying a different time. We usually go live around 3 o'clock.
Mm-hmm. So
we really have not gotten any feedback on what time works for everybody. So we're trying in the evening. I know that a lot of people who watch are in the UK, but not all of you. So I'm wondering, since actually the majority of the people who watch, at least the videos, are from the US, but there is a considerable amount from the UK. So
we'll see.
Yeah, because the problem is if we go live on a weekday at like 3 p.m. here, that's obviously a different time in Central and on the West Coast, but it's generally during the workday. So I don't know. People probably aren't watching this unless it happens to be their day off. But 3 p.m. here is.
It's 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. West Coast, and 8 p.m. in the UK.
I think that might be different right now because, unfortunately, we just had our clocks change for the worst once daylight savings time ends. It happens when the sun goes down early anyway, and I don't know if it's just easier, but this is at least the second year in a row that the final night of Halloween Horror Nights ends right before. Is someone knocking out our door, or is that them? Right as the time changes. So, well, I'm sorry. You heard that, right?
Yes. Hey, we got a special guest. It's me. Hooray. Look at me.
Yay.
I'm back. Yay.
So hopefully we're, I see
Wait,
this.
Did you go public? We're not private.
No, we're still a private held company.
Okay.
You don't go public.
Oh, Brady.
Hey.
Hello.
And just one of the people who I was talking about. You got to meet this guy and his alter ego, Clippy the Barber. But unfortunate, Stella, really, enough drinking water. But sorry, I didn't get to meet you. So I was just saying before that next year we're going to try to have a meet and greet somewhere where it's quiet in Universal Orlando, if that's somehow
There's no such place
possible.
We could maybe meet at the parking garage or something. And it's still not that quiet there.
Well, they really don't want you hanging around in there.
Yeah.
Like we could go to something like my favorite place in City Walk is still Hard Rock.
Okay.
But that's definitely not quiet. So we'll figure it out.
By the way, I said in a comment, but thank you for coming through the house twice, Brandy. It was cool. I'm sorry I couldn't cheer with you, but I had to stay in character. But thank you for coming through twice and cheering for me.
Oh, hey, Duchess. And also, I know I've said this before, but I am going to be trying to change up the Patreon because, well, I haven't really done a whole lot. I did find that I can post photos.
Stop.
Good job. I can post photos there, but it's still not quite what I was hoping for. I was hoping to have it be like more like a photo gallery, like you can see on Facebook or something like that. For some reason, I have to post every photo one at a time, and then it just shows up as little images. So a little bit at a time.
Yeah.
I think I can embed images, but I'm not sure exactly how to do that. So I'm working on that. Something else I've been wanting to do is, there's some collaborations I've been trying to do. That some of you know Andrew R. Davis, who has been a scare actor in the past. I mentioned him briefly, but he was a scare actor in Run, Blood, Sweat, and Fears during Halloween Horror Nights 25.
Mm-hmm.
And we did individual videos for each house and Scare Zone that year. And he found our video and was like, "Oh, well, thanks for doing a video for our house." And so that was my introduction to him. And then the very next year, he and I were in the same house. He was a scare actor again. I was one of the guys inside the house attractions, basically watching the guests, making sure they behave and there's no problems. And unfortunately, we kind of have to push the line forward sometimes, which we don't like doing. And kind of had a back and forth with the different departments where like my lead would say, make sure that you push people through the house. And then like at the same time, like, oh, but don't be rude. And like, but push people like, you gotta pick one and pick a lane.
Yeah.
So
me having done both, like some of my scare actor friends will be like, oh, all the ops do is just do this to the guests and just do this. And then I'm like, they have to, guys. They have to do 1,000 people per every 30 minutes or as close as they can get to that. So that's why they got to push the line. And so like what they ought to do is they ought to tell the scare actors what the house attendants are doing and tell the house attendants what the scare actors are supposed to be doing. That way we have a better understanding of how to come together.
It's a balance because nobody wants a long line and everybody wants to spend a lot of time in the house.
Yep.
And unfortunately, you can't get both.
Yeah.
So, so Duchess asked you a question.
Yeah, Duchess, I am sad that it's over. Best time of year is over. It's a bittersweet thing. It's like last year I was more ready for it to be over than I was this year. I wasn't really ready. I was last year when I was in The Shining, I was ready, but I wasn't ready. Yeah. This year I was more not ready than I was ready. I was actually kind of like, I mean, I wish we kind of had one more week, but
even though this was more nights than we've ever had, which is every year.
Yeah.
This year was by 3 days. Last year was by 2, I believe, because of the makeup days.
Yeah.
But this was 3 scheduled days.
Yeah. So I don't know what it was this year. It was I liked my cast, and even I had a longtime scare actor. This was his 17th Halloween Horror Nights to be a scare actor, and nice. He said, "Look, I've never had a cast like you guys. It's most of the time we've got drama going on left and right, and like it's not that much fun. This year was a lot different, and he really said that everyone was awesome, and I agree with that.
Yeah.
Phenomenal Brandy says the best attendant we saw was actually in Blumhouse in the rave party room. He flossed to the beat the entire time, and that sounds like fun. When you and me, I think it was Horror Nights 23. The Walking Dead house had that dubstep room.
Oh yeah.
We danced through the room. Like we just couldn't help it, and I couldn't imagine like a house attendant not having a good time in there.
Yeah. The thing for a house attendant, at least for me, that makes it awful is strobe lights.
Mm-hmm.
Because even if you don't have a problem with seizures or anything like that, it's just incredibly difficult to be in a room with constant strobe lights. Because I don't know why, but last year when I was in Ash vs. Evil Dead, there was a room where it was just blue and red back and forth super fast. And for some reason it caused because I had to. There's a scare actor that was facing me, couldn't see around the corner, and we as attendants like to help the scare actors as much as we possibly can, and they kind of rely on us because they're always ready. But if there's a long lull in the line, we try to give them a heads up, like, hey, there are now guests coming. And so all I had to do was look down the hallway to see if guests were coming. But something about that strobing light made me constantly lose mental focus. I'm not sure what it was about that, but like I had a hard time concentrating because of the flashing lights. Mm-hmm. But the reason why we wear black isn't to scare people because we're supposed to just kind of blend in. You're not supposed to see us as long as you're not doing anything wrong. I think because it was only season 1 that Stranger Things is going to come back, especially after it's been like crazy popular. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking possibly they're considering doing a Stranger Days thing again because it was really interesting to watch the Superstar Parade go past the inactive Halloween Horror Nights house.
While it's daylight.
Yeah, but those two never happen. Like Superstar happens at 2 on a Horror Nights night, and the park opens at 6, sometimes 6:30. So they're always apart. But yeah, it was pretty cool. The bummer is we get to walk back a house, and we see the giant elephant doors open and them pulling all the parts out and throwing them in a dumpster. Which sadly, there are many people who would love to take just a little piece of that with them, but we can't.
But I think there's reasons for that. Maybe they allowed it years and years and years ago, and they kept seeing too many stuff end up on eBay or something. I don't. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure it's the same thing as like where retail. When I worked in retail, you couldn't, if there was something that was broken, like you couldn't have it. Mm-hmm. The reason for that is because what people what I'm doing is, oh, this piece of merchandise is damaged. I'm going to put it in a dumpster and then come by later and take it home with them. So what they had to do when I was working at Spencer Gifts, and I'm sure it's the same thing everywhere else, is if it's damaged, they have to take a hammer and just destroy it. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, they run the risk of shrinkage.
Yeah. So Brandy asked the question, throw them in the dumpster? Yeah. They have to. They really do save a lot of things, Brandy. Like we've got a whole warehouse that's off property that's it's nearby, but it's got crate. If you ever see Raiders of the Lost Ark, the final scene where it's just crates and crates and crates and crates, it's not quite like that, but like there's like a big warehouse just full of old stuff from like old attractions and
a lot of stuff they're throwing in dumpsters is like the walls and things like that.
The walls and like things that they're not going to use. But like if you went through Carnival Graveyard Rust in Pieces, like that place is pretty much, if you know what you're looking at, like a treasure trove of just old things. Like I heard the a gas pump from Jaws was there. Yeah. Disaster Studios crate, something from
the Run, Blood, Sweat, and Fears.
Yeah. There was the mask from Festival of the Deadliest. Probably some baby dolls and like the big baby doll face from Dollhouse of the Damned. It
probably the Carnival Graveyard, like Phenomenal Brandy said, is probably just a graveyard of Halloween Horror Nights Past, which kind of makes it more appropriate for 30. But I'm sure they'll come up with something pretty cool for that.
But wait, that actually makes me think that we might see Carnival Graveyard come back for 30 in some way or another.
They'll do something, but so my predictions for 29 mostly is the obvious one. I think is going to be Stranger Things. Did we see a jokey a comedy horror house this year?
Yeah, my house.
Oh, I guess so.
Slaughter Cinema was the dark comedy house, and Carnival Graveyard was I would say a dark comedy house.
There was a Figment and Steve's. Did you see that?
I personally didn't, but
Are you sure that wasn't a figment of your imagination?
But first off, hi
Actually, I
Alan,
didn't.
and the 20 Years of Fear house was that house. Blew
Yeah, we wish we could have seen it more often than we did.
There is a video online. It's I forget what it's called, but it's a Lights On tour with Mike Aiello.
Oh, because he did the tour. Yeah.
It's the 20 Years of Fear house, and he walks you through the house, and he's like, he does say like we were just opening like old crates and like seeing what we could find, so it's kind of like Christmas for us, and
but better than Christmas.
Yeah. Oh, so Dutch has a picture of it. Oh, that's okay.
Seeds of I've only gone through Seeds of Exhaustion the one time, and that was team member preview, and it was even worse than when you went, because all I did was walk the entire time. If you kind of walked and stopped and walked and stopped, it probably wasn't as bad.
Mm-hmm.
But we're getting behind in the chat. What do you have predictions for next year?
All right, so I'm thinking they're going to do Stranger Things again, possibly. I heard Stranger Things is going to have 3 seasons max, so they're either going to wait a year or they're going to bring back Stranger Things right away. I don't think they're going to do Trick or Treat again. We might see 10 houses again. That seems to be a good number. So maybe another split of 5 IPs and 5 originals. I don't know what they're going to do. But seeing both Scary Tales and Dead Exposure come back after 10 years, that was really cool.
Yeah.
So they might. I'm not sure what they're going to do, but they might do the modern Poltergeist house. I don't know. There was a remake like 3 years ago. So.
Come here, Stella.
And Brady said that she did Carnival Graveyard with the lights on. It was incredibly detailed and backstory.
Yeah.
So much stuff in there.
That's another thing, going back to what I was saying before. That's always a bummer about having to be pushed through the house, is that there is insane amounts of detail in every single house. They put so much work into it, and all you get to do is go, "Oh my gosh, that's great, bye." And Stella wants to say hi. So, maybe we should do a lights on tour again at some point, but it's a bit pricey. Just like when I walked through Stranger Things again on Stranger Things Day, just because like I kind of had to.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've ever had a house open during a non-Horror Nights night, other than they've had a few times during a private event, but never during the day.
Mm-hmm.
And when I walked through, one of the things that I noticed the whole house, but there's that big room with the, I don't know what that is in the show, but they had that like the tank in the middle, and
that's the Upside Down.
Yeah. But there's that giant room. It's just like looking around, like it's amazing. They built something so big and detailed, and it's too bad that it is only for a limited time only. But it was counting preview. It was 38 nights and 1 day, so got a lot of time, but unfortunately it's not going to last. But we don't want it to be like Hollow Scream, where they repeat the same houses every year and you only get 2 new ones. So I've been told that the Hollow Scream houses stay up all year long, which makes sense because they're always in the same spot and they repeat. So it's a budget saving thing for them, which it's kind of weird that Hollow Scream is so thin. The crowds are so thin, at least when we go, because I just recently found out that Tampa has more of a larger population than Orlando. But I think that's overshadowed by how many people come out of state and out of the country that come in for Disney and stay for Universal, or just come for Universal. But and definitely a second show. I was hoping they would do that, but they didn't.
Brandy said they could use a second show. Maybe next year they'll have a spot for it. We'll see.
I don't know, but it would be good for crowd dispersion at least.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody told me that some people were boycotting the Academy of Villains show because of the lack of Bill and Ted. I'm like, okay, but you still pay to get in, so I'm not sure how well that'll work.
Well, if Academy of Villains had low attendance numbers, then
maybe, but it still won't bring back Bill and Ted. Like if like 50,000 people said they weren't going to show up and like actually didn't show up because Bill and Ted, then then Universal might be like, oh, okay, we do need to bring this back. But the fact that people showed up in record numbers to the point where they actually sold out, which I don't remember that happening before, is like, yeah, that even if some people stayed home because of the lack of Bill and Ted, it didn't matter. Yeah. Although, this is hard for you anymore, but I seem to remember the park being more packed in the past than even this year. So I remember the wait times, but when I saw the wait times pretty high for the rides, it's like, whoa, that's never. It's always super low wait times for the rides because a lot of people go and they're like, we're not going to go on the rides. We can go on the rides whenever. The first time we went was the first time Brian went to Universal ever. So he's like, well, I'm going to go on the Simpsons ride and stuff like that. Bummer because it kind of took away house time, but there were some decent wait times for the attractions as well because the house time wait was so long.
All right, so I want to talk about Stranger Things, Dave, just for a minute.
Stranger Things, Dave?
Dave.
Oh.
So I'm a pass holder, and Dave pointed out to me that if you have an annual pass, you basically have Express, which was awesome of them.
Yes, and so, it wasn't like, well, if you have a premiere or something like that, it's any annual pass.
Yeah. So I went, and at first I looked at the wait time, 40 minutes for Stranger Things. 40. I was like, whoa. And then I was like, oh, look at my annual pass. They're like, right this way, sir. And I was instantly, I just shot right into like the front of the stage or the music plaza. I was like, yes. Yeah. I haven't had Express since Halloween Horror Nights 25. So like if I'm there as a guest, I'm slugging it out to the regular line.
Did you buy after 11 Express or something last year?
No, I never did.
Because I thought you said that the group you were with, like, let's all get Express. You're like, okay, fine.
Oh, that is true. No, it wasn't after 11, but I had to buy Express last year. Yes, I did. Yeah, you're right. It still felt good. I forgot about that, but yeah.
And then when I went, the wait time was even higher. Whoa, it was 45 minutes.
45 minutes? Whoa.
Yeah.
But yeah, like wait times were like, I remember when Walking Dead started coming around. That's when we started seeing crazy wait times. Like it was 70s and 90s. Now it's like a 70 is actually starting to look pretty decent these days.
Yeah. I can't say who it was for because it's a private event, but there were two different private events for large corporations that actually had Stranger Things running during their private event. Mm-hmm. And when you walk by, they're like, it's a walk-on. I'm like, yeah. You lucky people, go in. It's a walk-on. Like even during the team member preview, it was 35 minutes.
Yeah. Somebody, the Tim Tracker, who's also a vlogger around here, around Orlando,
if you watch my channel, you probably know of him.
They went on a night where the crowd was actually pretty thin.
I think that was the night that we went to Brick or Treat. I was told that night was pretty thin.
So they go into Stranger Things. They go through Express, and somebody was at the front of the line, and they had a 35 for regular. And the person at the front of the line was like, "Oh man, this line is the worst. I've been here so long." They're like, "Dude, you have no idea."
Yeah, it's kind of too bad they don't do horror makeup during Halloween Horror Nights. But then again, they also didn't do the Beetlejuice show during Horror Nights when they had it, which seemed weird. They did at one point, but they stopped doing that. And like, it's Beetlejuice during Horror Nights. Yes. The Extra Tuesday was the 30th of October.
Yeah.
And then this past Tuesday was Stranger Things Day, which I'm thinking they might do it again next year because it'll be it'll be a few days. We don't know what the dates are yet. I don't know why they wouldn't have an extra day or start an extra week early, because it was always Rock the Universe was right behind. So Horror Nights was sandwiched between can't go too early because Rock the Universe, and then a couple of years ago they made the Christmas celebration way earlier, which is a bummer because I would love to see Horror Nights go a little bit into November so that it can take advantage of daylight savings time ending, which I don't like otherwise, but then it would get dark earlier. But they cut it off right when daylight savings time ends because they have to put up Christmas.
Mm-hmm. Now, the reason they did Stranger Things Day, I don't know what's going on, is because the date, November 6th, is significant for the show. It's the day Will actually goes missing. So, but I think they're also testing the waters with, well, let's see how it does during the day.
Yeah.
Let's see if there's an actual attendance and things like that. See if, maybe if we go later into November. I don't know. They might be trying a few things.
Oh, I don't think, and I doubt that they would change the start of the Christmas season at Universal, but that's the only way they can go in later in the year.
Yeah.
But being that Rock the Universe is now going to be in February, I don't. They know what the reason is. I don't see any other reason than to free up that time so that they can have Horror Nights start earlier. It may not be that, but sure looks like that from here.
But a more gory version of the horror makeup show would be fun. I'd check that out. I think the reason why they don't do the daytime shows is because they'd either have to get a whole new performer cast, or they would have to not run during the day because it's the performers have to work those hours and then into Horror Nights and
the 30th of October was pretty quiet.
Yeah.
And then what day I think the day that you left when it was really quiet, it got pretty heavy, or standard about average on that day. So it did, but it was nice because one of the final evenings, because it rained and people didn't come out right away. So when I was shooting video, which is the video I put up on the Orlando channel, a lot of that stuff, I was able to get around and shoot some photos without people being everywhere.
Yeah.
But then the wait times went up to about standard. But in the past, I know you said that that after Halloween that's been kind of dead, but this year
that wasn't really true, and last year that wasn't true either. But it was also the final weekend for Bill and Ted, so people were coming out for that. Last year was super weird. Last year, opening weekend was really quiet, and then we got busy, and then final weekend was real busy.
Yeah.
And then this time, opening weekend was really busy, and
it didn't really fall off the whole time.
No, not really. And the final days were actually pretty busy.
Yeah. Like you said, the day that they added was kind of light, but I think that's because they announced it kind of late, so a lot of people who were traveling already made their plans.
Mm-hmm.
And Halloween has traditionally been pretty quiet because I think that people who are local go out and do other things on Halloween because, even if they like Halloween Horror Nights, they can go other nights.
Yeah.
But it was pretty busy this year.
Yeah. So it's hard to tell when is the good time to come anymore. Traditionally, I always like to go opening night, and it wasn't that bad because it's opening night. But now this time it was record numbers.
Oh no, it was bad. When I was walking in, because I had to work earlier that day, when I was walking in, I was like, "Whoa, okay, there's a giant line for Seas of Exhaustion. This is going to be bad," and then it was.
And then we saw videos of guests waiting for the gates to be open, and the crowd wasn't just at the arches. It was all the way past the Globe, beyond the Globe, over that bridge, all the way over to NBC Grill, and I don't know how much further it got. All I saw was a solid crowd from arches to pretty much NBC Grill, and I was like, "Well, I've never seen that."
And that happened a lot of times during the run too. It wasn't just that night.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good time to be a team member.
Yeah,
because unfortunately you didn't get to take advantage of it. But I only went for about 2 hours at the end of the evening on team member preview night, and I was able to see everything but Stranger Things, which is only a 35-minute wait. But I didn't have a 35 minutes to wait. And the last house that I saw before, except for Stranger Things, on Stranger Things Day, was actually the Carnival Graveyard, because I only had gone through there once, and you told me about a few Easter eggs, and I maybe I'll go see if I can find them, and it's like, oh, there's a big fidget spinner. I'm surprised I missed that, and the run sign as well.
Oh, where was the fidget spinner?
You told me about that.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh.
He said they have the giant fidget spinner in there. I'm like, oh, I didn't see it.
Oh.
So.
And then Brandy says that Seeds was a sleeper pick for me. It didn't sound that scary, but honestly, it was freaked out in there. Yeah.
And wet, too.
Yeah. A lot of people were really surprised by Seeds. And it ended up being a lot of people's up there in their list, which I liked.
What made House of the Year?
Stranger Things made House of the Year. I don't know what Street of the Year was.
Because I know that I thought I heard Scary Tales was in the running.
I know we got House of the Week one of the weeks, which is 8 weeks and 10 houses. It's not like you're guaranteed.
Yeah. Was it really rainy when you went through Seas of Exhaustion?
I was in there
because the first night it was a lot of rain. I forgot about the wind part.
I think I was in there opening night. I think so, and I remember it being wet, but not Ghost Town wet.
I'm back. Do you know what the sign? I'm back. I must have missed that.
Yeah, I think I missed it too. Brandy, describe it a little better. Oh, Chucky got Street of the Year.
Okay.
Which is good. I like that. Chucky, Chucky deserved it. There was so much to see and enjoy in Chucky. There was Chucky himself, the monkeys, the bizarre OR, the Cabbage Patch Kids, the Scare Bears, that soldier walking around. There was so much to enjoy in there.
Yeah.
It really did give Vamp 85 a run for its money.
Yeah. So, there's 5 of you watching. So, again, how does this time work for all of you who are watching, and those of you who will hopefully watch in the on-demand afterwards? Because it's probably not going to be a Thursday very much. Actually, I doubt it will be, because you're Thursday off, and I am Tuesday, Wednesday off. So looking at Wednesdays in the future.
I think the I'm Back is one of the Jack things.
Oh.
So which makes sense. Carnival House, Jack. And there's the Jack Hood in there. Outside the Palace Theater sign prop, the movie marquee popped up later weeks. It said, I'm back. Oh. Uh-huh. That is a possibility. So Brandy says, outside the Palace Theater sign prop, a little movie marquee popped up in later weeks. So not something that was there earlier. And it said, I'm back. And people on Twitter are thinking that it's the Usher. So possibly based on that, we might see the Usher as an icon next year. Or for 30. So, which is good because I like the Usher. I think outside Jack deserves to be the icon as much as he's been. But the Usher is
Yeah.
also a lot of fun. I like the Usher. He's got that really sick, evil sense of humor, which I like,
Yeah.
and it's welcome moviegoers, ticket please, no rude behavior.
Yeah.
I think the Usher's a lot of fun.
Yeah, Ellen said that Slider Cinema and Poltergeist was top pick houses, and Day Exposure blew my mind with strobe lights.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I kind of like the reoccurring room theme in Happy Death Day.
Yeah, that was fun too. I like that. First off, thank you, Alan, for having my house on the top of your list. I know I'm just a small part of helping make that house happen, but it did make me feel good that a house that I was involved when was actually pretty popular with a lot of guests.
Yeah. Our house was a very, very, very fine house.
Yes, it was. I think we might see the Usher return, which I like the Usher because HHN was pretty good, and that's what Alan said. And Brandy said, if it's the Usher, I could totally see Slider Cinema 2, which would rule.
I'm sure they have plenty of ideas over 28 years that, well, maybe not so much in the beginning, that were kind of cool that didn't happen. So I don't know if they would have a Slider Cinema sequel immediately, but that's something that would lend well to a major anniversary.
Yeah. I kind of suspect, and I don't have any call in it, it's just me wishful thinking, but I think one of the rooms from my house will make it into the anniversary house for 30. Yeah. It's totally me speculating, but I don't know. I have a feeling. So Brandy says, do you think any sausage? Well, all right. So Brandy asked the question, and it brings me to a point. Do you think any Slider Cinema rooms are strong enough to become standalone houses? All right. So here is what was told to us when we were doing rehearsals, that every single room in Slider Cinema was an idea for a standalone house. So like Barber Chop, Amazon Cannibals, The Devil Dogs, Cult of the Beast Baby, Attack of the Swamp Yeti, all of it. Pumpkin Guts. Yeah. They were all supposed to be their own house, like a house just for Pumpkin Guts, a house just for Swamp Yetis.
I don't know how they would have handled Shity's kids, but
yeah. So some of the characters were talking like, well, I can't really see them doing a whole house for Cult of the Beast Baby. It works as one room, but like if anybody could do it, it's Hard Eyes. So
it's possible that even though they were in that house and they were pitched and it didn't happen, that maybe like, okay, well, it worked. It didn't make sense then, but maybe it works this year.
Yeah, it's just all ideas that never got to final stages for whatever reason. Brandy goes cough Swamp. Yeah, I'm thinking if they do any of our rooms, it's gonna be Swamp Yeti.
Barber Chop would be kind of tricky to do as an entire house.
Yeah, but like they do things like The Exorcist, which the movie pretty much takes place in one room.
Yeah,
and there's Happy Death Day where they repeated the same room. So like they've done it before.
I don't know. Pumpkin Gut's the best smelling room. That's got to go up against the Gingerbread House room in Scary Tales.
Yeah,
but they were both pretty. They were both pretty good.
I love the smell of Pumpkin Guts. But so another thing about Slider Cinema is if you were able to look at the posters for our movies, they were all a Jack in the Box production, Jack the Clown. Yeah. Some of them were even directed by Jack Schmidt, which is Jack the Clown's actual civilian name. But then a character friend was like, why aren't some of the movies directed by the director? And I was like, well, maybe because he only does snuff movies, but then really they could have easily made it that all of our movies were actually real and people were actually dying on camera, but they were passing it off as special effects.
Another problem is the director doesn't have a name.
Yeah, he does.
The director.
No, he has a civilian name as well. It's a Spanish sounding name, but yeah, like I think his name is lesser known than Jack's name. Maybe that's why. Like a lot of the Hard Eye fans know who Jack Schmidt is, and the director is to a lot of people the director, but see, I can't even recall the director's name right off the top of my head. That's why. But what they could do is they could do a similar concept to Slush Cinema where the director the usher presents such and such movies. Yeah. Like we go into the Universal Palace Theater, and he's like, "Oh, our next presentation is."
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
I do wonder why they moved away from putting the year in the graphics.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
It's 2018 was around, but like it's not Halloween Horror Nights 28 anymore, even though it's a hashtag.
Yeah.
And they still don't really do icons like they used to. Last time was Chance right after Jack, which was cool, and then they kind of moved away from it again. So I don't know what's up.
I kind of think they want to do the year to match closer with Universal Hollywood, because they can't say, well, we're year 28. They started earlier than Orlando did, but then they stopped for a few years and brought it back years later. So technically they're behind Orlando by a few years. But in the past 5 years, they've been matching the IP houses with Hollywood. Like when Orlando had The Shining, Hollywood had The Shining. When in other examples, like they would match IP houses on the same year. Whereas 1 year, like for 21, they had La Llorona in Orlando. The year before, Hollywood had La Llorona. So like now they're trying to match up more with Hollywood, and I think to do that they're matching year, date, not number of years. That's just my guess to it.
I don't know. It just seems weird that they have it around. It's the hashtag. It's on the website. Mm-hmm. They had that TV, and it was set to channel 28. Mm-hmm. And but they just don't say it.
Yeah.
Kind of weird.
Yeah.
So once again, I started to get towards this, but I think unlike just like Havoc, I believe I got derailed. And that is, I'm going to try to put up more content on my Patreon page, trying to get some more people with that. And we wanted to do a collaboration with Andrew Davis, who does his own Halloween Horror Nights stuff. We wanted to do a wrap up, and we wanted to go to Lake Eola where they have the Swan Boat rentals and do the video on that, because Jack the Clown first made his public appearance there, but he unfortunately has other commitments, so we're not going to be able to do that. But something I've been wanting to work on is in the Patreon levels is to have a pre-recorded Skype video call, so you can be a guest on the show.
Sure.
So if you're interested in that, at least let me know. I'd like to try to put that together and have some other guests call in. But again, it's got fit in the schedule and everything. Just in case, previously recorded. I'm sure that everything will be fine for podcast and all that, but need to work on that too.
Yeah.
So, but I might do a separate video just by myself, asking about what those of you who haven't contributed to my Patreon yet, or even those who have, what different benefits that I'm not offering right now that you would be interested in. So look out for that. Today I did go to, or yesterday I went to Aventura and shot some video of the upcoming hotel, which is coming along pretty quickly. But it's kind of hard to get out there because before, when it was wet and wild and we went and shot some stuff out there, you could just park in the parking lot. But all of the places around have tow signs. If you're not there as a customer, they might tow your vehicle. So I had to walk all the way from the Royal Pacific, which was I guess at least a mile each way. So that's why I've been kind of slow with that. But now that there's a lot of stuff going on, I'm gonna try to get out there more often. There is a Walgreens, which is a pharmacy, if you're not familiar with it, that it says 30-minute limit on parking, but it doesn't specify that you need to be the customer. So, maybe I'll do that. But you can't see is that right now Stella has Merlot pinned down when she's not laying on her back.
Yeah.
So, and also I finally remembered to shoot some video. They are making a pedestrian bridge over Kirkman Road because there's so many off-site hotels, and this will make it safer for people to cross. So, hopefully tomorrow or tonight I can get to editing that video plus the Stranger Things video. I'm not sure how many people shot video bloggers with that, but so that's upcoming. And of course, unfortunately, there's no more going to Legoland Water Park this year because it's closed for the season.
Oh, okay.
But I'm hoping that next Tuesday I'm going to be able to go to Volcano Bay and make a video of that. We get 3-day My Universal Photo. Unfortunately, Disney has Photo Pass, which is a lot easier to say. If my ankle injury is finally healed and I can go in the water, I'm going to do that and post a video of that and all of the photos. They tried to do that last year, and the on-ride cameras were still not working properly. So I think they finally fixed that. I hope. It's been over a year since it opened. So.
Yeah. All right. So Phenomenal Brain says that's cool. I like to see endless summer construction videos, and she's going to try Aventura next time. So there's at least some interest in the construction videos, and like what helped build your channel up was the Volcano Bay videos. So I know it's just really hard to get out there because there's nothing really around. The sidewalks are kind of gone, but it's pretty cool. There's like a structure with some what looks like waves in between the two hotel buildings. And, I said in the video, you'll see that the parking garage looks extremely insufficient for the size of the hotel, which I'm not sure how that's going to work out because Aventura is a small hotel, and the parking garage is pretty close to the size of the one for Sapphire Falls. Thinking maybe because it's a budget-minded hotel that they're thinking that a lot of people who go there won't have a car and maybe won't rent a car because they're trying to watch a budget. I don't know, but I just know that it's looking like a pretty small garage. It's been in place for a while, so it doesn't look like they're adding any more floors. It looks more like the parking garage for Cabana Bay, but they have two Cabana Bay and parking lots. So I'm sure they know what they're doing. I just don't understand why they're not bigger. Yeah. Alan McGuire posted like some really good comments. He said he'd like to see a house like In Between, Nightingales, Winter's Night, Hades, and the In Between.
That was the thing we did that year, or you did that year.
Yeah.
I wish that I don't know why they moved away from the 3D houses.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll see it. You never know. I could have sworn they were going to put the tunnel in Poltergeist for when you're going into the light, but, they did something else. Alan's been going since at least 20 Years of Fear, so
nice.
Props to you, Alan. If you haven't already, Alan, go ahead and dig through the old Roddy Paws videos. You'll see videos that date back to 20 Years of Fear.
Yeah. And I personally went to Halloween Horror Nights in '99, but unfortunately I didn't get any photos or videos of that.
Well, you have one photo.
but not in the park.
Yeah, yeah.
I have photos from City Walk and of the hotel and being on the boat, but I have a few photos from Islands of Adventure, but not much. I wish I took a lot more photos back then, but I don't have anything in park from Halloween Horror Nights from that year, and I don't really remember much.
Yeah.
So the first year I remember is the year we went, which is 20. And I wish that we had gone, we wanted to go a couple of years before because we might have gone multiple nights by the time 20 happened, and would have been really nice to see that year more than once.
Mm-hmm.
But we only got to see one night.
Yeah.
And we might, if we had gone 2 years prior and went during the day, we would have possibly have been able to go through the Lost Continent before it switched over to Potter.
Mm-hmm.
If we were there in 2009, probably not. It was probably already underway, but we didn't get to see the part of the Lost Continent, which is now Potter.
Yeah.
Although where Forbidden Journey is, that wasn't anything really, as far as I understand.
Alan says he's gone since 1817, and between 17 and 21 we're amazing. Yeah, our first year was 20, and I personally was blown away. You and me had been to some like local haunts, and yeah, they were okay. They're all right. I remember like one scare actor in this local haunt who was supposed to be playing a victim, like laughing through her lines. She's like, "Oh, help me!" And like I wasn't that impressed.
Yeah.
But then you start talking about Horror Nights, and you're like, "Oh, it's so cool! They fog up the place, and there's these ghosts, and they've got chains, and they surround you." And
that part, I said it. Both my dad and I were not very impressed by Horror Nights in '99, but I was like, you know what, we'll go, and if it's not fun, we'll just make it fun.
Yeah,
well, let's go with the attitude that's going to be fun, and we just happened to go in like one of the best years they've had. So
yeah,
at that point, was we plus another friend who lives in the area wanted to go, and for 2 years in a row we're like, it was too much money, and we found out later that he wasn't that big of a Horror Nights fan like we thought he was, and then eventually we just like we went to Publix and bought the tickets and like, okay, now we're going because we bought.
We're committed now.
I don't remember 21 being all that great, mostly because I just was kind of put off by Lady Luck not being any good.
Lady Luck wasn't that great of an icon, but there were really good houses.
And
for
the Scare
21.
Zone was awful.
But HR Blood and Guts was during 21. That was a great house. Winter's Night was a good house. I need to pull up the map.
I don't have anything before.
But like I remember a lot of houses for 21 being really good. The Lady Luck Scare Zone was
the only good thing that came out of that was when we did our annual Ben and Jerry's trip, and you said ice cream, you scream in your creepy voice.
Yeah,
we all scream for ice cream. And I said, and Brian screams because he didn't get any or something like that, and it was almost perfect. And then like a moment later, you hear one of the Lady Luck scream. It was almost like perfect timing.
Yeah.
But I found her scream to be kind of irritating.
Oh, so Alan was able to go through Catacombs during 20 Years of Fear.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
But he was alone. He was by himself.
Oh.
So everybody was coming out for him. That had to be crazy.
The only downside of going through a house by yourself is it's a lot easier to get lost or go into a boo hole because you don't have someone to follow. And it's even worse if you go during the day and your eyes aren't adjusted and you don't know the house and you don't know where you're going and you can't see anything.
Yeah. By the way, I have a funny story about going to the house by yourself. So I was scare acting one day, and it's like my first set. So like the only people who were in were the stay and screen crowd. Like the main gates hadn't opened yet, so like very light crowd. This lady comes through by herself. She's like pretty much like this, just like, and looking down. My scare, when I hit my trigger, there's like a ha, and then a little off the top. All I did was I hit my button, and she hears the, ha! She took off running. I didn't even do my scare. She heard the beginning of my scare, and she bolted through my room. Our stage manager, our assistant stage manager, was at the exit of the house, like all the way outside the house. He said she came out running and saying, never alone again, never alone again, never alone again, and just like took off. And like we all had a big laugh about that, like, you know, like the poor lady. But like I seriously did not do my scare at all. Like she heard, ha, and just was gone.
Which is the funny thing is I never actually heard the audio from your scare.
Yeah, it's the very, very, very beginning is like a, ha. And then,
well, that's kind of like your story from the previous year.
Yeah.
I guess that happened a few times with the big dude, the big people.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like big people like backing up away from me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like Swamp Yeti probably gave her a hard time. Brandy, let me tell you, like especially in my cast, that final Swamp Yeti would chase people out of the house. Like our stage manager said, like people lost their shoes trying to run away from that dude.
Ooh, you know what this is, Brian? Ooh,
it's a Yeti.
It's a scary Yeti. Oh.
Oh yeah. Yeah, especially the final Yeti. Like he worked real hard and he would really try to sell it, and like people. It was another scare actor. Like we heard a story. Like it was two scare actors from like different houses. And one of them knew what was going on, so he's like, hey, why don't we turn around and see what's over here? And then the dude turns around, sees the final scare, fell on his butt, rolled over backward, down the ramp, and then got up and was like, oh.
Were there any post-house scares this year? I don't remember them. Because that's always been a thing. Like the last 2 years, there hasn't been in this two sprung tents, which is kind of weird.
Not in the sprung tents. Scary Tales kind of had it. Because, like, you come around the corner and it's just the black curtain. So you're like, okay, the house is over. And then there's the final bear. But, yeah, Brandy said Swamp Yeti is the new HHN bear. Yeah, pretty much.
Bear. Explain that one.
So, when I was in The Shining last year, of course, you go in the Hall of Mirrors, you see the Shining bear. Turn around, you saw me. There was a few nights where it was like first set. It was like right at the beginning. All of a sudden, I hear bear, 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 and then coming down the hall, and then the bear does a scare, and then they turn around, and it's a dude, and he's wearing a shirt, and it's got like a bear on it, and it says bear, 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 and apparently, like from our old scare actors, like it's the guy who's been here for years, and he's on the
Oh yeah. Alan remembers from. It's like it's to bring the fireball back. I'm like fireball.
Oh yeah,
the one in the water. That had nothing to do with Halloween or scary. It was just cool. And then you remember he was talking about your when you do the Apocalypse Now lines, because we stood out there and like I timed that fireball, and it was like okay, I could see how often it happens. So that was like the first. I think that was our first and only take on that.
Yeah,
because we were watching the fire. We started and we knew exactly when that fireball was going to go off, and you timed it just right. Stella timed it just right so that at that point.
Yeah. And yeah, the fireball was just a cool thing. Like it wasn't really like.
Oh, HHN Bear was. I guess it's not what we were thinking of HHN Bear. Who is that?
No, that is it's. So the HHN Bear is the bear from Scary Tales.
Oh, okay.
So that final bear was way back when Scary Tales was a house originally. So 2008. So Horror Nights 18. That final bear was the HHN bear. And then when we saw the bear in 25.
The bear I was thinking of was The Shining.
Yeah. But that bear in 25 in the Scary Tales room.
Yeah.
All right. So that bear has shown up through the years. And there's like a super fan for that particular bear. And that's why you hear bear, 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 bear. So there was no HHN bear that year.
Right.
But there was the Shining bear, so he was trying to, like, relive the tradition.
I thought they just really liked that part of the house in The Shining.
I'm sure they did. But like I know that's the story, and like one of the characters who played the bear didn't like it, so he wouldn't really do it. But but yeah, like so you can follow him on Twitter if you so like, which is probably the dude who actually does that. It's probably his Twitter account. There was definitely a few with scares at the end, at the very end. I'm sure a few security people had a good laugh at the screaming. Yeah, so like our house pretty much is about as post house as you can get.
There used to be maybe too many people fell and hurt. I don't know. There on that bridge back out after the exit, there used to always be a scare right there, and it would always get people and like, come on, it's every year that this happens, and people would always go like, oh, I didn't expect that. I'm like, you should expect it. It's every year, but at several houses.
But every year, it's always somebody else's first year. So like, there's people who aren't expecting it. Like they don't know that like last year like there was a post house scare.
But even like other houses that I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. It should be never let your guard down at HHN, especially ever since No Safe Haven, where like it was no like all the scare zones was everywhere.
And it's still that way in a sense that because even in Simpsons and outside in San Francisco, which was always a scare zone before, of course you have the roaming hordes,
which are not on the map.
No.
So like you'll be like, okay, well, let's go see Slaughter Cinema, and we'll go through the Simpsons, and we'll check out Simpsons, and all of a sudden like there's crazy carnies with chainsaws. You're like, what's going on? This isn't on the map. Fan service Dreamhouse, HHN Bear versus Swamp Yeti, done like Alien versus Predator.
Yeah,
that'd be funny.
And every once in a while, people ask if Universal will ever have a movie, because they're a movie studio based on intellectual property from Halloween Horror Nights, and it would be nice, but they won't. Partly because the people who work on it are too close to it, and they don't want to risk it going wrong. But
although there's going to be a La Llorona movie.
Yeah, but that's not a Halloween Horror Nights thing.
No, but it was like their original house.
But it's not their original concept.
Yeah,
like Giggles and Gore would be an awesome movie.
Yeah.
And maybe they won't, but I kind of wish that they would have an extra person join the creative team for a year or two that would work with them, and like they would be comfortable with that person that would. I mean, like the core creative team doing whatever they do, and then like after the team's like, oh yeah, we like this person, and they think very similar to the way we think, and that extra person can split off and go write and produce a movie based on their work, and then they would go back, and every once in a while, maybe Michael or whoever could read over the script and see like, okay, it's going the right way, and then they'll have final say. Like they'll screen the whole movie, and anything they don't like would have to change. So, maybe that doesn't make sense, but like that way they can have their movie, and Universal Creative would have full control, and if they don't like it, it doesn't get put out there. But I think Giggles and Gore or something else that's completely original for Universal, especially something with Jack, would make a good horror movie that would do well, and then it can circle around, kind of like there was Ratchet and Clank the game, then it became the movie, and then it became Ratchet and Clank the movie based on the game, or the game based on the movie based on the game.
Yeah.
So they can have a house based on the movie based on the house, but they don't.
Yeah. But yeah, like, or Afterlife's Death's Vengeance would have made a really interesting movie. But yeah, like, they could have made, and maybe someday they will, who knows? But yeah, that's all like a really good idea. Like, having somebody come in and work with the team. Okay, like, here's some ideas and here's some ideas, and all right, guys, come now.
And the thing is that the creative team doesn't have time to work on a movie because they've already started working on Halloween Horror Nights 29 before 28 even opened.
Oh yeah.
So, but someone that they are familiar with. I mean, I'm sure they'll come up with some ideas why that wouldn't work, but then it's someone that they know is on board and they can trust. But they're very smart people. I'm sure they thought of that.
Yeah. So Alan has a funny story. He went to Van 55 2 years ago, and he was drinking a red drink and accidentally spilled some of it. One of the vampires went, "Blood!"
Yeah. And it's unfortunate that you didn't get to see Fan 55, Phenomenal Brandy, because I know you really liked 85, but I still prefer 55 because I just feel like there was more time. It was a little more laid back scare zone, and the scare actors were hanging around more. They tried to interact in 85, but I feel like 55 they had more interaction, and you can play off of them a little bit more than 85.
And then Phenomenal Banner said Carnival Graveyard would be a really good movie. If you have a tour guide, every character had a huge backstory and they're all interconnected. And they did that for the roaming horde over in Simpsons. So something that meant a lot to me was if you ever saw the cowboy in the roaming horde over at Simpsons, his name was the Lightning Gulch Kid. And he didn't start that way. It wasn't like, okay, you're the Lightning Gulch Kid. It was, they gave him his outfit, and it's a cowboy outfit, and he's like, okay.
It's a cowboy, baby.
And then so the other characters were like, wait, you need to be from Lightning Gulch. He's like, well, what's Lightning Gulch? And they told him all about Ghost Town, the Cursed Lightning Gulch, and everything. And he's like, wow, that sounds really cool. And so when they did the introductions, the ringmaster would say, okay, we have the bearded lady, woo! And the Lightning Gulch Kid, yee-haw!
Yeah.
And like he came up like with his own like little backstory, and and Ghost Town being my first house, it meant a lot to me.
So there are two callbacks, that and the Lightning Gulp.
Yeah, over in Seeds, yeah. But
and
yeah, like
there also were a few other things that I didn't get back to see. I can't remember right now, but there were some references to other houses as far as like they're like fake magazines.
Okay.
I'm blanking on what they are now, but yeah, references to other things that they have done. But being that I only saw Seeds only once, I didn't get to find them again. But I just didn't really want to stand around in lines all night. Yeah.
So, Brandy, like, the thing that this characters like had a backstory and is all interconnected. A lot of that is scare actors doing that on their own, with encouragement from our show direction. I met scare actors who worked in Chucky, and like they said, okay, my character name is this, and like his character name had like 3 names, and he was like the 4th, and he's like, oh, and he did this and this and this, and worked there for so many years, and I remember my character. It's a lot of going with what we're given from the actual like trailers or information that we're given through the official sources, and us using our imagination. Like my character, I decided his name, according to my schedule, was Lloyd the Barber, which of course is Floyd the Barber from the Andy Griffith Show and a Nirvana song. So I decided, okay, he was an actual barber, and he's given a shave, and one day he nicked somebody. And he kind of liked their reaction. The sadist in him was coming out. So he got further and further with it until he started slitting throats and scalping heads. And
that's when he met Meats. What's his name?
Oh, Morton Meats.
Morton Meats.
Yeah, it's weird. Like on the schedule, my character name is Lloyd, but according to the trailer and the queue, my character name is Morton Meats, which is another Easter egg for Leave It to Cleaver.
Oh, I was just saying that because that was the whole thing behind Meets was it's made of people.
Yeah. So, well, maybe, I was thinking like my character might have been like, if his name was Morton, might have been like the father, grandfather of Samuel Meeks, but maybe he's.
Well, I'm thinking, well, if you're the barber who kills people, like in Sweeney Todd,
Yeah.
that you might kill people and then you contract with Meats and sell them the meat.
That is entirely possible. That's my alternate backstory. Is I work with Meats and I'm a supplier.
Yes.
Um,
meet him at Meats.
The Z stands for quality. It's funny, like so many guests came through and like their first time in the house, and they would look at me, look at my screen, and go, "Oh, it's Sweeney Todd!" Like so many people did that.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I'm actually contemplating a book as well. Call it Orlandave, the book.
Yeah, give it a shot. Start writing a book.
And it's just going to be like a free PDF that anybody can download for a while, because I don't know what I'm doing. At some point it'll be print on demand, I'm sure. I'm trying to take more pictures next year, so it'll be by the end of 2019. I hope to be an actual print book and put like the best of photos in there. And that's a good idea though. Phenomenal is it would be hard to collect all those backstories for all the characters, but
it would mean actually like giving interviews with like these characters, and that part's hard. Like I tried doing it myself before I worked for Universal. Like there's a forums that's dedicated to Halloween Horror Nights Orlando. It's called HalloweenNightmares.com, I think.
Halloween Horror Nights Nightmares.
Yes. And
who follows me on Twitter?
Yeah. So I went on there and I made a post about like, hey, can I interview some characters in the streets? Let them stay in character and everything. And I got like basically comments saying like, if they spend too much time with you, you're basically asking them to be fired on the spot. You can maybe like talk to them for a few seconds in character, and that's about it.
Well, it wouldn't have to be that at all. You just talk to the people, the scare actors, off the clock, like your backstory.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if they would be able to be anonymous, because the other people, the ASMs and whatever, would be like, oh, I know who that is, because they know them.
Yeah.
But it'd be neat to get. But then you'd have to track down, find every single scare actor, or find a lot of them, and talk to them about their characters.
And we'd have to do something like we'd have to go through the media of Orlando and all that. But like it's something that's definitely worth hunting down, at least.
Oh, thank you for saying that you read my book.
Yeah.
I'm probably. I mean, the eventual goal is to try to either sell it separately or give it as a Patreon thing. It's just starting out. It's not going to be, because it's the first time ever trying to write a book. It's not going to be the quality I'm going to hopefully make it. And also, I want to have it available to as many people as possible for feedback. But eventually, it might make it to Patreon. I'm not sure where it's going to go from there. But yeah, it's going to be things like theme park tips, which is a video I've been meaning to make. First time guide to Volcano Bay, which is a video that I should have made last year and I still haven't. And FAQs, things like that. So I just need to get started on that, but it's a little bit too late this year to have it cover the whole year, because it's November now and I'm just starting. Yeah. So.
All right, you come down.
So any other questions? I know we lost somebody along the way here. Either Horror Nights or general. And I know that Duchess gave me a lot of great ideas for videos as well. Because if you're visiting and you need a memory card or something like that, where do you buy one? Well, you can buy one at the surf shop in City Walk, but it's some brand that might be perfectly fine, But I try to stick to SanDisk, just because I've always had good luck with them, and it's a different brand I'm not familiar with, so I can't really recommend it because I don't know much about it. I know there's a Walgreens pretty close by, and that ties into the pedestrian bridge that they're building, and that'll make it easier to get to. But and like other things near Universal. So the point of Orlando is supposed to be for those of you who like to visit or can't visit. This shows you all the theme parks and other things in Orlando. Even if you do come to Universal and you don't have time to go to things like the Wax Museum or Ripley's Believe It or Not or things like that, it's kind of a local guide to Orlando from somebody who hasn't been here for a long time but has been visiting for a long time. So things like that.
You at least know your way around and know all the little tricks and the cool places to go. And
oh, that's fine. We're glad to have you here at all. Yeah. So, for some reason, the very first time we did our live show, we had a huge number of people in the chat room. So I'm not sure why that's gone down since then. Maybe we and too much. Maybe I don't know. But hopefully we'll get back to doing this more regularly. I'd like to at some point in the next year build a better set back there, but that comes down to the money. And I just bought my GoPro Hero 7, and as I mentioned before, next year I'm going to California, and that's going to be quite pricey. When it comes closer to VidCon, I'm going to have either Indiegogo or Kickstarter campaign to raise extra funds, but that's the VidCon's not till July, so I have plenty of time to do that. I don't want to do it too early, so I need to get on Instagram. I guess I don't see the difference between Instagram and Twitter as far as pictures, but
Instagram is meant more for just posting pictures.
Yeah.
Twitter is more like if you have something to say, I would think.
But I mean, people post photos on Twitter all the time. But you want the best pictures, you got to go to New York.
So Phenomenal Brainy asked, when do you think Mardi Gras concert will be? Probably, I'm guessing January-ish.
Yeah, it's usually the same. The date's already announced, but we never know what concerts are coming because they're not. I don't think even Universal knows until right before because there's always a couple unknowns.
I am disappointed they got rid of the summer concert series though.
Yeah, I thought that was coming back this year, but it ended before we moved to Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
But last year they were thinking about it, but they didn't because Volcano Bay.
Yeah.
This past summer, I'm not sure why they didn't, but they didn't. What I am looking forward to, I need to request a day off too, is the first year we were here, they had a really cool New Year's Eve show where Cinematic Spectacular was with their water screens and lots of fireworks. And last year it was kind of like a little bit of fireworks and that was it.
Yeah. This
year, because of the new, I don't really like it, but the new Cinematic Celebration, they're going to have a whole New Year's Eve show. But because you can't just walk anywhere, you have to be in that one special area to watch a show. I'm going to have to get there early to record it. It was so much easier when you can just walk up to the lagoon. If you can find a spot, you can see it. But now you have to be in that one spot. And the rest of the lagoon goes unused. I don't like that.
So we got two things. So Phenomenal Brain says you can tell a story through pictures on Instagram, which is kind of like a slideshow. Duchess, the new show isn't rubbish. It's just different. If you prefer the old Cinemax Spectacular, then you I don't know. I think there's more love put into this new one, personally.
It feels like it's kind of rushed. I kind of like how it was narrated before, and this one feels thrown together. And I also don't like what they did to Central Park. I like how Central Park used to be.
Yeah.
I was really upset that you couldn't walk through Central Park during the entire run of Halloween Horror Nights, which you could before, which was great for a lot of reasons. If you wanted to bypass the Central Park scare zone, either you're too scared or you just want to get one part of the park to the other without walking through the scare zone, which will slow you down, you could do that. But this year was all blocked off the entire time. So I don't know what was up with that. So I didn't like that at all. So I did what I can do because I'm a team member. I walked back the house. There's a back the house way through, which is a little gray because I wasn't working that night. But I was like, well, you're gonna close off Central Park, then I'm not gonna walk through there because I have to get somewhere quickly.
All right. So and we got somebody new in the chat. I think Hugo Jetsy.
Oh, hey.
First off, hi Hugo. And he saw me one time this season at Slaughter Cinema. Last year, he saw me every run at The Shining.
Oh, wow.
First off, thank you, Hugo. I hope I did really good. Thank you for coming through, and I'm glad. Well, I hope you enjoyed the house, and I hope you enjoyed my performance this year. Thank you for coming through The Shining so much.
Yeah, that's a shining example.
Yeah,
I'm a fan.
It's funny, like I would do my scare, and sometimes guests who I don't even recognize would say, "Oh, great party, isn't it?" I'm like, I don't know who they are. They just seem to recognize me from last year.
Yeah,
you might be one of them, Hugo. But if so, hello. And Duchess wants to know, what is the Gardens of Allah? She always sees it, but she forgets to ask somebody.
It really isn't anything, as far as I know. It seems a bit of a waste of space. I think it's a reference to an actual place in Hollywood. I was told that it was, if I remember correctly, it was a hotel that used to be there and that celebrities would stay in all the time, and supposedly like reporters would go and I think it was that. And like they wouldn't back then, they wouldn't like the celebrities would tell the reporters all these scandalous stories, and the reporters didn't actually report it because they respected their privacy. And then at some point they found out that people love reading scandalous stories about celebrities, and it helps their publications, and that went away. But I believe that's the case. You might have to look up Gardens of Allah, but I think that's what it is.
Now, as far as what it is in terms of Orlando, it is actually the NBC Media Center.
Well, that's in there too, but
yeah. So,
but the rest of it kind of looks like it might be storage.
Yeah.
I don't know.
If you're lucky, there'll be somebody from, I think, events or maybe media.
Yeah, somebody else.
Where they'll say, "Hey, do you guys want to watch a show and get paid?"
Yeah.
So it's typically early afternoon, like around 2 or 1 o'clock or 2 in the afternoon, and it takes time away from the park, but you will go and you'll see a pilot episode of a show NBC is working on, and you'll be given gift cards for your time that you can use in the park. So that's actually kind of cool.
We never did until we moved here, because we're like, we only have a limited amount of time in the park, and gift cards would be cool, but we spent a lot of money to come here today, so maybe not. Yeah. The show we saw when we went to see the pilot, it actually became a show.
Yeah. Now
I forget what it's called. Sorry.
Donation.
Oh. Damn it! I knew I remember it.
Now, Duchess, there are gift cards that you can use in or Universal, and limited spots outside of Universal. But yeah, it's anything you want.
I think it's 30. That's like a 10 and a 20.
Yeah.
Hey, Stella.
But so like, I mean, that's dinner right there.
You're not Stella. You're not. I'm sorry. You're not Stella. And then you can use it at all of the carts that are in the park that you can't use your annual pass discount for, which is annoying. Yeah. Disney does the same thing. So yeah, if you see it, I think it's only certain times of the year. It would make sense. I think it's only certain times of the year, probably summer, maybe like when they're getting ready for the fall season. But I don't remember. I remember exactly when. Unfortunately, we found out that all the alcohol doesn't get a team member discount, which I may have known, but I don't buy alcohol, so I either forgot. But it's the same for annual pass discounts. It's pretty much the same. If you can get an annual pass discount, you can get a team member discount. The other way around. But unfortunately, can't get them everywhere. Yeah. And they did have the waffles on the stick during Stranger Things Day, which kind of wish you had a few more in case you want to see me eat another one.
All right, so I think we should wrap up.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us tonight, everybody.
Oh, we lost one again.
Yeah. Everyone have a good night, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, probably in about 2 weeks, probably on a Wednesday. Again, we don't know if it'd be better to do in the daytime or evening. It'd be easier for me to set up in the evening, but we'll see. Yeah. So.
And don't forget to comment on what time works for you guys, okay? Yeah. And we'll try to make that happen.
Especially if you find us later and like, oh man, would have watched it, but I didn't. We didn't give a whole lot of advance notice, which is a problem. But also, if you watched it and like, oh, it would have been better to be at this time. Mm-hmm. The days are not very flexible because I'm only off 2 days a week, guaranteed. He's only off 2 days a week. It's not like you switched your availability, but it seems to be pretty consistent, and only one day kind of lines up. But
and sometimes they do ask us to work a 6th day. So
yeah, but if the show starts getting as popular as it started to at one point, we can always change our availability to another day. So
yeah. All right, everyone, take care.